Good afternoon, students. Had the lunch? Okay, we will come to the bio subject. So in the last class, I explained about the taxonomic hierarchy. Who proposed the taxonomic hierarchy? Carolus Linnaeus. Therefore, that hierarchy is also called as Linnaeus hierarchy. So, which is the least taxon in the Linnaeus hierarchy? That is species, and the highest rank or highest taxon in the hierarchy is called as kingdom. Students, remember, while explaining the hierarchy, I explained one important concept. As we move from the least taxon to the highest taxon of the hierarchy, that is from species to kingdom, the characters goes on decreases, isn't it? So the species is the unit of classification that mainly consists of group of organisms which sharing few fundamental similar characters and interpret to produce fertile offspring. That group of species next constitute the next taxon of the hierarchy called as genus. The next rank of the hierarchy is called as family. Next to the family, the taxon is called as order. Next to the order is called as class. After the class is phylum in animals, and in plants it is called as division. Then the highest or the topmost higher step of the hierarchy is called as kingdom. That thing I explained in the last class, isn't it? The next important concept is now the taxonomic study of different types of plants, animals, and also other living organisms. It may be a microorganism that are useful in agriculture, forestry, as well as it is very useful to study the diversities. In general, these taxonomic studies are always useful to know the bioresources as well as the diversities. Mainly to know what the bioresources and diversities. Isn't it? Now, how we can identify the living organism? That means how we can use all these living organisms as a bioresource. For that usage, we should always identify the organism as well as we should classify. For this, what is essential? Identification as well as what? Classification. For the study of taxonomic resources, always we need the identification as well as classification. To identify any living organism, we need field study. We need what? The field studies as well as extensive laboratories. We need the laboratories, that is labs or research centers, as well as field study is very important. Either the laboratory or a natural one, that is called as field study, that gives the information that clearly gives the characterization that is the first source of studies. So which is the first source of study? That is the laboratory as well as the field studies. By that we get the characterization of the organism, maybe a plant or an animal. And also we can collect the specimen. It may be of a plant specimen or it may be the animal specimen. Along with that specimens, we should always preserve some fundamental information of those bioresources. All these play a very important role in case of taxonomic studies. Today biologists, they are establishing the different techniques as well as procedures to store and preserve the specimen, or it may be information of all that bioresources, maybe for a present use or it may be for the future use. All those bioresources today which are mainly stored and preserved, mainly meant for taxonomic studies, is called as taxonomical aids. That is your concept. What are taxonomical aids? Taxonomical aids are nothing but these are the bioresources. These are the bioresources. These are the bioresources stored and preserved for the taxonomic studies are called taxonomic aids. What are taxonomic aids? These are nothing but the bioresources which are stored and preserved for the taxonomic studies are called as taxonomical aids. So which are those bioresources today which are used mainly to identify or to classify or to know the taxonomical features of the organism, that is in the form of herbarium. The first taxonomic aid is herbarium, second is botanical garden, and the third one is museum, and the fourth is called as zoological park and key. So which are commonly regarded as the bioresources or that are called as taxonomical aid. One is herbarium, second is botanical garden, third is museum, fourth is called as zoological park or simply we can say zoo, and the last one is called as key. Now we will study one by one in a brief account. Now the first taxonomic aid is this taxonomic aid or bioresource, it is the storehouse of collected, dried, pressed plants. That is called as herbarium, which is the first taxonomic aid, that is called as herbarium. What is herbarium? Herbarium is the storehouse. It is the storehouse of collected, dried and pressed plants. What is the definition for herbarium? Herbarium is the storehouse of collected, dried, pressed plants. So where we press all these plants? So the first we should collect the plant. Then that should be dried. Collection is over. Drying is over. After drying, we should press the plant on the herbarium sheet. Look here. So this herbarium sheet is the thick cardboard sheet, thick drawing sheet we can say. It measures about 42 by 29 centimeters. What is the size of this? 42 by 29 centimeters. This is the standard size of this herbarium sheet. This is nothing but the thick drawing sheet. First we should collect the plant and we should dry that, sun drying, and then that should be pressed on this. For example, so this is the pressed plant where on this drawing sheet. This sheet is called as herbarium sheet. Now next, these herbarium sheets we should arrange according to the universally accepted classification. So there is one classification, based on that we should arrange this, that is universal accepted system. Always we should arrange these herbarium sheets according to the universal system of classification. According to that we should arrange the herbarium sheet. Now, so this herbarium sheet not only contains a pressed plant, that is dried and pressed plant, in addition to that description. And also it has got the description. Now, so this herbarium sheet that contains a labeling. That is always that label is date. On that labeling, so in one corner there is one column that is meant for description of that plant. What is that? So there we can observe the date. So date of collection. When we are collected that plant. For example, today is 9th. 9th, 10th month, 2020. This is date of the collection. Then second is place of collection. Where we collected that plant, that should be indicated. That is place. For example, so we are collecting that plant in Western Ghats. There you should write, it is in Chikbalapur. Place. We should mention the place. Then collector name. The person who collected that plant. That is collector name. Then is English name. That is the English name of that plant. Then is the local or a common name. Local name or a common name. Next botanical name or scientific name, then family. So all these details should be what mentioned in this which sheet, that is herbarium sheet. So that means this herbarium sheet not only contains what this present material, along with that we can observe the labeling in the form of date of collection, place of collection, collector name, common or English name, local name, scientific name and family. So all these should be labeled. So this is one of the major storehouse of the plant, and we can use this for the present as well as for the future use. Those plants now that are rare in number, we can collect and we can preserve. In future that may become what? Either endangered or that may extinct. So that is one of the main advantage of this taxonomic aid called as herbarium. And the second taxonomic aid is called as, so this taxonomic aid is a specialized garden where we grow the living plants, and this is only meant for identification purposes and also to educate the public. That is nothing but botanical garden. What are botanical gardens? Botanical gardens are the specialized garden where we grow the living plants of various types, and this is only meant for identification purpose and also to educate the public. And mainly on this plant again there is a labeling, that is name of the plant. So how we can identify? So on the bark of the plant there is a labeling that consists of name, and second is common name and scientific name and its family To which family it belongs? What is the scientific name of a plant? What is the common or a local name of that plant? So all these are mentioned on that label. So that is called as what garden? Botanical garden, where we can identify the living plants. That is a specialized garden. The famous botanical garden at Kew, that is in England. And Indian Botanical Garden, that is in Howrah. And also National Botanical Research Institute at Lucknow. So these two in India. One is called as Indian Botanical Garden, National Botanical Research Institute. So these are located in India, and this is one of the famous largest botanical garden at Kew. This is about what the second taxonomic is called as botanical garden. Now the next botanical garden. So this, sorry, not botanical garden. The next taxonomic aid is, so this bioresource, we can usually construct that in schools as well as colleges and university, as well as in the community level, not only in community level, even international level. So this acts as information broker. That is nothing but museum. What is museum? It is nothing but one of the bioresource or a taxonomic aid that we can construct in the school level, college level, community level, or it may be in national and international level. This museum always so act as major bioresource where we collect and preserve the plants and animals. That too how we preserve, that is in the form of dry plants as well as dry animals. We always preserve the plants and animals, that too in a wet condition in the glass jars. We can preserve that even in glass containers or in glass jars, that is by using a preservator called as formaldehyde. By using formaldehyde, we can store or preserve that plants and animals for several years without any decaying process. That is one of the advantages of formaldehyde. It is called as preservator. In that preservator, we can store or preserve the plants as well as animals in a glass containers. Now, even some of the birds as well as mammals that are preserved in museum in the form of stuffed specimens. Stuffed specimens. ಒಣಗಿರುವಂಥ ಒಣಗಿಸ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಅದನ್ನು ಮಾಡಿರ್ತಾರೆ, ಅದನ್ನು stuffed specimens. Even there we can observe insects in the insect box by collecting, killing and pinning and preserving in the insect boxes. So the insects are identified, collecting, killing and pinning and then preserving in a box called as insect box. So in that we can observe the various types of insect. Not only this, even the huge animals. How we can say that the dinosaurs with the huge body with carnivorous nature, that is by observing the skeleton of that, where we can observe that only in museums. That is, even we can preserve the huge animals in the form of skeleton in the museums. By this we can say museum is called as information broker. This gives clear information of the specimen, either of a plant specimen or it may be animal specimen. Either it is in a dried form or it is in a preservator or it may be in the skeletal form. Therefore, it is called as what? Information broker. Museum is one of the taxonomic aid that can be constructed either in schools, colleges, universities or in community, national or international level, where we can preserve the plants and animals either in a dry or a wet form. That too in wet form, we preserve that in a preservator called as formaldehyde, that too in the glass container. We can store that plants and animals for several years in the same nature without any decaying process. And even we can observe the animals in the form of stuffed specimens. Even insects can be preserved in the insect boxes. First collecting, killing, pinning and preserving in the insect boxes. Even the huge animals are in the form of skeleton. All these we can observe in case of museum. This is called as information broker. And the next taxonomic age, that is the fourth taxonomic age. So this is the bioresource where the wild animals are preserved in the natural condition, where we preserve the wild animals in its natural habitat under the supervision of human being. Under the supervision of human beings, that is called as zoo or zoological garden. What is zoological garden or a zoo? It is nothing but it is the specialized areas where the wild animals are. Specialized areas where that to which animals? Wild animals are preserved under human care. Under human care, and here these areas are preserved the wild animals in their natural habitat. So here they consider the natural habitat of the animal where actually it lives. Now this zoo is mainly meant for educate the public, and also it is a research center to study the food habit of the organisms or animal, and to study ethology, means behavior of the animals. So zoological garden is a specialized areas where the wild animals are preserved under human care. So here they always preserved in their natural condition, natural habitat. So by observing the zoo, we can identify the food habit of the animals, and also we can clearly study the behavioral aspect of the animal, how that behaves, what is the nature of the animal, that is called as behavior of the animal, that branch is called as ethology. This is only meant for to provide awareness among the public as well as students, that is called as to educate the students and public, and also it is the research, the natural research center for the researchers. That is called as what? Zoo or zoological garden. And the last but not the least, it is very important question. We may guess this question not only for the descriptive and mainly for the NEET as well as for CET. That is called as key. What is key? Key is one of the taxonomic age. This mainly used to identify the plants and animals. This key is a taxonomic aid mainly used to identification of the plants and animals based on similarities as well as dissimilarities. So this is mainly used as a identification aid for the plants and animals. This is purely based on similarities as well as dissimilarities. So in this key, there is a pair of contrasting characters, opposite characters, similarity, dissimilarity we say. Pair of which character? Contrasting characters. Contrasting characters. In this opposite pair, one is accepted and another character is rejected. So in a pair, one character we may accept and another character we may reject. That is called as couplet. What is couplet? The pair of contrasting characters in a key. So always key is used to identify the plants and animals based on similarities and dissimilarities. Here always there is a pair of contrasting characters that is called as couplet. In that couplet, one character is accepted, another character is rejected. And each statement in a key is called as lead. Each statement in a key is called as lead. What is lead? Each statement in a key is called as lead. And there are different keys in the lineage hierarchy. We use different keys for different ranks or different taxon of the lineage hierarchy. For example, for a species we use one type of key, and for the genus we use another type of key. For the family we use another key. That means there are different keys, and each key it is always varied. So we can use the different keys for different taxonomic categories, and always the key is analytical in nature. This is very important question. Which of the following taxonomic aid is analytical in nature? That is called as a key. So which are the different taxonomic aids? One is called as Herbarium, second is called as Botanicalgarden, third is museum, fourth is Zoologicalgarden, and the last is key. What is couplet? Pair of contrasting character in a key is called as couplet. What is lead? Each statement in a key is called as lead. How we can use the key to identify the organism? It is purely based on similarities as well as dissimilarity. And there is a pair of opposite character or contrasting character called as couplet. One character is accepted, another character is rejected. So that is called as what? Key. And there are several the minor taxonomic aids are there. One is flora and catalog, and also the different manuals. In that way we use the different minor taxonomic aid. Monograph is very important for the CET. Monograph is minor taxonomic aid that is mainly used to study a single taxon. To study the single taxon, we can use the monograph. Flora, that mainly used to indicate the study of plants, that is its distribution, etc. So this is what about the taxonomy.